Baltimore is one of the most unique cities in America, but here's the truth. Not all neighborhoods in this city are created equal. Some are perfect for families, some are perfect for commuters, and some just might be the right fit for anybody at all. So that's why in today's video, I am going to be ranking the best neighborhoods in Baltimore and the worst neighborhoods so that you can know where to start your home search in Baltimore City and which neighborhoods you should think twice about. Hi there, I'm Persia. I'm a local Maryland real estate agent here, and I work in the Baltimore metro region. Welcome to my channel, Baltimore Inside and Out, where I show you not just neighborhoods, but also the lifestyle that comes with each neighborhood and each community in Baltimore. All right, so let's get into it. Topping the list of best places to live in Baltimore is Federal Hill. Federal Hill is one of the most picturesque, iconic and beautiful neighborhoods in Baltimore. If you've ever seen Baltimore's skyline, then you have probably seen Federal Hill and Federal Hill Park, which overlooks the entire Inner Harbor area and gives amazing views. But it's not just the incredible views that make Federal Hill a wonderful place to live. It has much more to offer. Federal Hill is best known for its walkability. You can walk out of your row house and immediately run into bars, restaurants, cafes, and there's always something to do. Federal Hill is a neighborhood that is very popular with young professionals and those who really want to be living in the action. The homes in Federal Hill are a mix of historic row houses. There are also condominiums. There are also apartments, which are available as well. When it comes to cost of living, places to purchase in Federal Hill tend to be on the more expensive side, but people are definitely willing to pay a premium to be in this desirable area of the city. If you enjoy walkability, historic charm, and lots of nightlife, then Federal Hill is the neighborhood for you. But of course, there are not only pros of living in Federal Hill, there are also some trade-offs that you have to deal with. One of the things that can be difficult in Federal Hill is parking. Definitely parking comes at a premium. Some houses will have parking pads, but if they do, then usually there's only room for one vehicle, and parking pads are not super common, garages are not super common. So most times if you're living in Federal Hill, you will be forced to have street parking, which can be difficult. So you really have to work on your parallel parking skills. And sometimes you might have to circle the block and circle the block and circle the block until you find a place to park. Another thing to consider is that if you are not into nightlife and noise and, foot traffic and those types of things, Federal Hill might be a little bit on the lively side for you. So keep that in mind. If you're looking for a place that's more quiet and subdued, Federal Hill, especially near the action on Charles Street and the most sort of concentrated areas of bars, cafes, restaurants, that type of thing, might not be the place for you. Just something to keep in mind. All right, next on the list of best places to live in Baltimore is Canton, which is another waterfront gem in the city. It has a slightly more residential feel than Federal Hill does, but it's still buzzing with energy. And one of the biggest draws to this area is Patterson Park. Patterson Park is one of the best outdoor recreation areas in Baltimore, and it's full of trails. It has tennis courts, it has a dog park. You'll see lots of people walking their dogs there. So it's definitely an amazing destination for people who like to spend outside time in the city. Canton is a neighborhood that works well for both families as well as young professionals because it ties well into having walkability, things to do, things going on. There are also pretty good community schools, and it just has a more neighborhoody community vibe, a little bit more than an area like Federal Hill might have, which definitely makes it a draw for people who have families or are thinking about going to school for their kids. All right, next up on the list of best places to live in Baltimore is one of my favorites, which is Hampden. Hampden is an amazing neighborhood if you are somebody who likes creativity, who likes a little bit of quirk and charm in their neighborhood. Hampden definitely has all of that. There is a skate park, there are independent bookstores, there's lots of boutiques. So it is a very interesting, cool, and kind of hipstery place to check out, which is definitely a draw. One of the biggest retail draws is the Avenue in Hampden, which is 36th Street, which is filled with cafes, restaurants, there are music stores, wine bars, all types of places to get food, to eat outside. There's spas, there's places to get your hair done. So it's a really big commercial district that has everything that you would want. So that's the Avenue. Another big draw in the Hampden area is Miracle on 34th Street, which is the amazing Christmas display in the neighborhood on 34th Street in Hampden. Basically, when you purchase a house on 34th Street in Hampden, you have to agree to deck your house out for the holidays. And so it is so amazing. I brought my son there last year for Christmas. It has lights everywhere. People give you hot cocoa on the front steps. I mean, it is something to behold, and I really like to go there during the holidays. They also have different quirky festivals like Hun Fest, which is a celebration of sort of Baltimore blue collar vibes and character. So Hampden is definitely a neighborhood that is unique and has its own charm. The type of housing that you are going to get in Hampden are mainly going to be colorful row houses. They are going to be, ranging from 2-bedroom row houses to 3-bedroom row houses. They also have some that are newer construction. I myself have helped some folks make purchases in the Hampden area for homes that were built probably in around 2016 and are quite a bit larger than the ones that were built in the early 1900s, which are most homes in the Hampden area. And the great thing about Hampden is that it tends to be a little bit more on the affordable side than more waterfront communities like Federal Hill and Canton. So you're able to get a taste of city living at a lower cost. Now, Hampden isn't walkable to downtown in the way that perhaps Federal Hill or Canton might be, and it doesn't have the same vibe or vibrant nightlife scene as you might find in those neighborhoods either. But if you're looking for a neighborhood that is quirky, artsy, charming, and has a character all of its own, definitely check out Hampden. Next on the list of best places to live in Baltimore is Roland Park. This one is of particular interest to folks who have children. It is a really good neighborhood for families. I have clients who recently relocated from Texas to Baltimore. They were living in Houston, and Roland Park was #1 on their list because of the school rankings, and they really wanted great public school for their children, and so decided to settle in Roland Park. Roland Park is actually one of the first planned suburban communities in the United States, and it really still feels that way with its historic architecture, tree-lined streets, and defined residential feel. The homes in Roland Park tend to be single-family detached homes. A lot of them have nice lots and yards, which is something that's fabulous in the city because other neighborhoods like Canton, Federal Hill, Hampden, a lot of those don't have yards at all, or maybe just have a small little postage stamp yard. So having more property is wonderful if you are living in Baltimore City, and definitely something that you get in Roland Park. Families really love Roland Park because of the strong community feel, because of the highly rated schools, and because it feels safe. So these are all reasons why Roland Park makes top of the list of neighborhoods that are best in Baltimore. Now, one of the things to keep in mind is that Roland Park is also one of the most expensive neighborhoods in Baltimore City. I actually have a video on my channel all about Baltimore's most expensive neighborhoods. You can check that out right here. And Roland Park certainly is one of them. So if you are looking for large single-family homes, detached homes with yards and great school districts in the city, you are going to be paying a premium. So that's just something to keep in mind, and what you have to pay, that's the cost of entry for Roland Park for sure. All right, the last neighborhood on my list of best best neighborhoods in Baltimore is Mount Vernon, and this one is one of my all-time favorite neighborhoods. I like to call it the cultural capital of Baltimore. It's also the queer capital of Baltimore, and I think it's fabulous. My particular reason for liking Mount Vernon is because it is historic, it's beautiful, the architecture is amazing, it's walkable, there are bars and restaurants. One of my favorite restaurants in Mount Vernon is the Brewer's Art, which has fabulous food. They also brew their own beers. That was one of my kind of first bars that I like to hang out in when I moved to Baltimore 20 years ago. So that's a place to check out if you're in Mount Vernon for sure. The cultural landmarks are really what makes this neighborhood stand out. You have the Washington Monument, you have the Peabody, you have the Walters Art Museum, you have one of the oldest libraries in America in Mount Vernon. And so this area with its cobblestone streets, and I mean, it's just super scenic and gorgeous, and one of the best neighborhoods in Baltimore for sure. Now, Mount Vernon, because it is midtown or it's sort of more downtown, it's not going to have detached single-family homes the way that Roland Park does. The types of houses that you're mainly going to find in this neighborhood are going to be condominiums or row houses. Also, you know, things can be pricier just because of the historic nature of these buildings. But depending on where you're living, some of the costs for condominiums can be low, but the thing to keep in mind is those HOA fees, those condo association fees, I should say, can really add up down there. But the housing is historic, it's classic. You will get moldings, you will get marble staircases, you will get the best of the best construction wise, and it really is a sight to behold. Mount Vernon is a beautiful, beautiful neighborhood in Baltimore. If you're planning on making a move to Baltimore or anywhere in Maryland, tap the bell for notifications and hit the subscribe button so that you can be alerted whenever there are new videos posted weekly to our channel. And if you're already planning your move, my contact info is pinned below. My team and I would love to help your family make a smooth transition to the Baltimore metro region. All right, so now we're gonna pivot to some of the worst neighborhoods in Baltimore, and we're gonna start with West Baltimore, which some of you may have heard of. And West Baltimore has really strong community ties. It also has some beautiful architecture, but West Baltimore has struggled with poverty, with disinvestment, and all of those things lead to it, you know, being a difficult place to live compared with some of these other places that are best, which have lots of investment in them. So that really tends to make a difference. It's important to know that there are projects going on in the city that are trying to revitalize and breathe life into some of these amazing, gorgeous areas of West Baltimore and really, you know, bring community, bring dollars, energy and effort back into these neighborhoods, but it's a slow moving process. And so when we're thinking about relocating to Baltimore, it's really important to think about your investment, to think about, you know, crime, all of these factors that make a really big difference. And so West Baltimore, because of its challenges, definitely does make the worst of Baltimore list. Now, with all of that being said, West Baltimore is a wonderful opportunity if you are an investor and you're somebody who is thinking about making a long-term hold in the area, because as I mentioned, there are developments and different things going on. And so if you are thinking kind of in the long term about improvement and something that perhaps you can buy at a low cost and improve over time, or something that might appreciate over time, West Baltimore could be a good investment for you. But if you're a family, if you're looking for a more established community with good schools that's walkable and that type of thing, I wouldn't choose West Baltimore as my first choice. All right, next on the list of worst neighborhoods in Baltimore are some of the areas in East Baltimore. Some areas that are getting investment are near Johns Hopkins Hospital campus, which is in East Baltimore. And the thing about this particular area is that it can be very block to block. And this is what I tell my clients a lot. There can be some neighborhoods in East Baltimore that are pristine, neighbors are keeping their yards up, you know, homes are well taken care of, there are no vacants, no abandoned. But you also can go a few blocks over and find all of those things. alleyways filled with trash, properties that are not being kept up, homes that are vacant and that are abandoned. And so one thing that's really important if you're looking to relocate with your family is connecting with a local agent who is very knowledgeable about what is happening in each of these neighborhoods, who can look at something and tell you if it's on a decent block or not, about safety concerns. All of that is really important because whether you're in West Baltimore or East Baltimore, whether you're in, neighborhoods like Berea, or like we have a new development, a developer who I'm working with who's doing renovations in Broadway East. So all of these are kind of up and coming neighborhoods and ones where you might want to make an investment. But if you are thinking about relocating with your family and you want something that's safe and stable and walkable, East Baltimore, West Baltimore, they might not be the areas for you. So keep that in mind. Finally, on my list of worst places to live in Baltimore are areas that are close to more industrial zones or heavy transit areas. Some of these that come to mind are sort of towards southeast Baltimore, like going towards Dundalk. Some of those are more industrial areas, or kind of going south towards Anne Arundel County, like the Brooklyn area tend to be more industrial. And those, again, they are not as residential, not as walker friendly, not as stable, don't have as strong schools, those types of things. So I would say that in heavy industrial zones and heavy transit exchange zones are probably not going to be your best places to live in the Baltimore metro area. It's important to note that while these areas aren't necessarily unsafe, they probably just don't provide you things like walkability or parks or shops, cafes, restaurants, things that are nearby. So that's definitely something to keep in mind if you're considering these areas or just trying to figure out where to settle once you move to the Baltimore metro area. Well, there you have it. That is my ranking of best and worst places to live in the Baltimore metro region of Maryland. As I mentioned, every neighborhood has its pros and cons. The most important thing is that you and your family decide what your non-negotiables are, what are the most important things for you in terms of finding a place to live, and then finding neighborhoods and areas in the Baltimore metro region that fit your needs and preferences. If you're planning a move to the Baltimore metro region and would like some assistance in figuring out which area is best for you and for your family, please reach out to me and to my team. We would absolutely love to help you chat through that decision. You can feel free to reach out to us by calling us, texting us, emailing us. We can set up a video chat. All of our information is pinned below in the contact box. Thank you so much for watching, and we will see you in the next video. Bye.